Hello everyone. Today I managed to find a small GorillaPod for my phone. I think it's actually the brand name GorillaPod, but it's so small it's more like a chimp pod. The main joint on the tripod was extraordinarily weak for some reason. Any sharp angle that it would take, it would just snap right off. And I don't have a heavy phone either. I have the iPhone SE, which is like an iPhone 5, I think. And so I had to try to wrap the outside legs into semicircles and then use the third leg as like a little finger to hold the phone up so it wouldn't be too heavy to tip over and snap off. I found that this angle was better simply because it was higher up. You could see all of me and the bar pretty easily. I didn't really like that everybody was in the background, but that's what you get at a public gym, so what you gonna do? And the only other good place would have pointed the camera right at a whole line of windows, and I would have just been in silhouette. So I didn't really want that kind of footage. But this set went well. I didn't touch on the first rep. I don't. If I ever put the weight and the rep count on the screen, and the rep count is lower than what is demonstrated in the video, it's because I didn't count a rep because of lack of range of motion. So the first rep on the final set of rows didn't completely touch. It like scraped my shirt a little bit, but it didn't actually touch the sternum, so I didn't count it. Or maybe not the sternum, I think it's a little bit lower than that, but whatever. I didn't feel it in my torso, is my point. I'm a little tired. I still have a cold, which is really annoying. It's a full week of having this itchy throat and coughing. Hopefully I don't cough during this recording again. I've had to start over a couple times because I just had a coughing fit, and I'm not going to go into too much more detail than that. Let me take a drink real quick. Pardon me. So, I was watching a few videos regarding pull versus push strength, and the idea that if you're along a given plane of motion, if your push it does not exceed your pull, you are more likely to have healthier shoulders. So I sort of wanted to do those rows as like an insurance plan, or not an insurance plan, an inspection. I don't know. I wanted to diagnose whether I would be able to do my 110-pound bench press today. And since I managed basically a rep and 3/4 on the row, I felt a little bit more confident making the run up to 110 on bench press. I think this actually is like a lifetime PR for me, as embarrassing as that is, because I've never focused on doing a non-incline bench before. I think my incline bench, I don't think what I'm going to do is talk about what I used to lift, because that gets really dumb really fast, and I don't really care. I'm not trying to regain past glory here. I'm just trying to improve as a much older and flabbier individual than I was 10 years ago. So I'm not gonna reiterate my e-stats from back in the day. I'm just gonna mention that I've never really done flat benching before, and it stands to reason. Again, not gonna actually name the number, but since I used to incline bench more than this, whatever that may have been, that I should be able to flat bench it. But I have messed myself up on that line of reasoning before. I actually had to have workers comp because I thought, oh yeah, 45-pound bag, no big deal. Snap my back up real quick. Ugh. Oh well. But I'm healed from that. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I've been squatting obviously on these past couple of videos without too much issue. I think higher reps are an issue for me though. When it turns into some sort of endurance event, the more it becomes an endurance event, the less capable I am of doing it, unless it's actually an endurance sport. So running was fine for me, but sprinting, no. Squatting, the only problem, like once I was doing those 20 rep sets, those were kind of problematic, but All right. So I asked for a spot on this. This guy, you probably saw him earlier in the video with his girlfriend working out. He's an amateur bodybuilder in the area. I have a habit of asking for a spot from the biggest guy I can find in the gym, regardless. And that started from when I was a kid. When I first started lifting, I was lifting with my dad. And I was really nervous about lifting with all the... I don't know if they were like professional bodybuilders or whatever, but they seemed a lot bigger to me at the time because I was, a short kid. And I had just recovered from an eating disorder, and I was very, very scrawny and very weak. And I felt like I didn't belong in the weight room because I was so little. Like I thought I should be doing more machine stuff or whatever. But I got to a point where I was doing about my body weight on the leg press, and was able to walk up the stairs on my own. I didn't have to use the elevator anymore. And I generally think unless you're actually rehabbing from something, the machines are basically worthless. And I didn't have that insight when I was a teenager. I had to be told that you can continue using the machines if you want, because anything is better than nothing that you were doing. But you will progress faster and you will have a better life overall if you just get under a barbell and stop being such a little pussy. So I want to have a better life, so that's what I did. I stopped being a little pussy and I got under a bar. Now with the leg or hip dominant lifts, no problem for me. I have a very good mind muscle connection with my hips for whatever reason. So I don't think I've ever failed a rep on a squat in my life. And I think I've only failed maybe 10 reps in deadlifts in my life, and those were mostly grip issues rather than my inability to produce enough power to get the thing off the ground. But I was also very socially awkward because of my vast size difference compared to everybody that was lifting on that floor. And so the method that I was taught to attempt was just find the most intimidating person in the room, and regardless of how weak you are, ask them for a spot. And first of all, like I learned immediately that the biggest guy is usually not the meanest guy. He's probably most willing to help and most empathetic to somebody's desire to improve themselves. But then also, I realize it's actually a much more secure feeling too, because if it's a really strong guy, you don't really have to worry about whether he can get the weight off of you. If you ask another shrimpy person if they can help you with a spot, they are probably going to also struggle and also panic when you are pinned under a weight, and that's not great. So I guess the third and final thing is that if it's a person who has significant muscular development, they probably also know how to spot, because they know that you need to get the full range of motion. If you're just getting like the skinny basketball kid coming over to spot you, he might think that he's supposed to help you with the rep and put his hands on the bar and like do a mini partial curl to help you finish the rep or whatever. Like everybody, like this is a really good method, I feel, just as not knowing anybody in the gym, if you're new or whatever, to just always have the safest person to spot you is find the biggest person. And you can always tell them too, like, hey, I need a spot. I need you to not touch the bar unless I have absolutely failed this rep. And usually the big guys don't even need to be told that. Like we'll just go get into the rep. They'll tell me, or they'll ask me if I need a lift off or not. The guy in this video did ask me, and excuse me, and it'll be fine. They'll help me with the lift off. If I fail the rep, it's usually like I'll get stuck at some point, and then the bar will start to come back down, and that's when they won't even need a cue that, hey, help me with this. Unless I tell them beforehand that I want to try to grind it out, and I will tell you if I need help. Typically they understand. If they're not told that it's going to be a grinder, they're gonna let you try your best, and then they'll see it when it happens that you're not going to be able to finish the rep, and they'll help you. And I've never had a problem with a spotter because of this. If somebody offers me a spot, I have had some problems with that. Like they mean well, but they kind of spoiled my workout because I didn't get the stimulus that I was looking for. That was kind of a extended rant on spotting, but I don't ever really need a spotter unless it's some sort of bench variant that is a bar. If it's a dumbbells, I prefer not to drop them, and I have never dropped them, but I could if I needed to. And so that's why I don't have a spot for this right here. But if there's any possibility of some guillotine action going on, I have a spotter. These face pulls, this was a really unfortunate camera angle. I thought that I was not in line with this pillar on the right. I thought you would be able to see me because I looked at where the camera was pointing and I was like, okay, this is pointing over those plates. You'll see my face and you'll see the pull that I'm doing. This is still a good angle because you can see the line of pull that I decided on for almost all of the sets or almost all of the reps. I think it's on the third set that I put the pulley up one notch. I don't remember. I think it was the 9 notch or something. Because I wasn't feeling it enough in my rear delts like I wanted to. I was starting to get more of a lateral head tingle with this. So I realized maybe it's too in line with my face where the pulley is. You can see it's coming basically to my nose, mouth area rather than to my chin. I don't actually know anything about face pulls. I just thought, okay, I did some extra bodybuilding work with those dumbbells. Maybe I should balance it out with some face pulls, get some posterior delt action in. And these actually were probably the hardest move that I did all day. Again, I don't know anything about face pulls. I just have an idea of what the concept should be. I think the one thing that I remember the most about trying to do face pulls, other than the basic setup, is that the maximum contraction should be like a double biceps pose. I think I heard that from an Omar Isuf video. He was probably doing a specifically rear delt video. But the main takeaway I remember from that was like, if you want to really get your arms back there, don't just keep your... I think what I was doing before, I was doing like a double pronated grip, and I couldn't quite get my arms back far enough because you can't. So that little extra rotation at the end when you're trying to get like a double bicep shot out of it. I actually don't know how to do a double bicep shot because I can't feel my biceps, but it was a good cue, Omar. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I got this AMRAP here, as many reps as I could do, bang them out. I think I got like 20, 21, something like that. I counted it in the video later and I could have lost my patience counting it. So I knew it was at least more than 20. So that's it for today. That was the second bench day. I'm glad I got my bench actually recorded. And see you guys next week. Thank you.